Hello, and welcome to Rose Play Presents, episode 79, the continuation of the E3 coverage. Today we'll be covering Ubisoft. As always, I'm your host, Aurian MoonRose, and here on Rose Play Presents, we can have anything and do anything. It's a show outside of gaming, a show outside of movies, but sometimes gaming's involved. Interviews from content creators, developers, betas, coverage for E3 and special events. So, let's go ahead and get started on Ubisoft. This is probably going to be another short one. And the reason why I say that is Ubisoft, I'm not saying they didn't have good games this year, but none really called out to me. I think really it was one game. So this has kind of turned into like Stadia. But anyway, so I went ahead and I'm going to talk about the one game, but I also throw in a little tidbits here and there on some other things, just to try to make it feel like I shouldn't have just done a review on the game. So before we start up the Ubisoft conference, they started off like Sony did a few years ago with orchestras. The orchestra they did was the Assassin's Creed orchestra. And, I mean, it was music from the Assassin's Creed game. So if you like the Assassin's Creed music, it's a great orchestra. I loved the cutscenes that they were showing in the back and blending it all together from different Assassin's Creed games. However, as much as I liked this, I would have still preferred doing a Final Fantasy one. I've always wanted to go see the Final Fantasy one, and honestly, that'd be the one I'd probably be the most interested in. So anyway, on to the one and really only thing that was talkable about for me, and that was Watch Dogs Legion. So, I'm really pumped to jump back into this world. I enjoyed one. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did enjoy one. I enjoyed after like the halfway point, I should say. I enjoyed it. 2, I enjoyed, but I don't know. I want to see the continuation. 3, though, however, completely blows everything out of the water. It's going to take place in London. Apparently, you can recruit anyone, including everybody's fan favorite for the conference, the Grandma, Metal Gear Grandma. And the trailer they show when she does start acting is hilarious. But, so, in Legion, they say that you can recruit anyone. And they mean anyone. Every character, or every NPC apparently can be a playable character. Now, if this is true, and this is what they are going for, this game is going to be beyond amazing, beyond long, and way too many people to hire. I mean, you'd have to hire everybody, probably for, like, an achievement or something. Or a completionist, like the completionist does. However, I do feel like that's not what they're going to do with this. I feel like there's going to be, like, let's say, 30% of the NPCs have their stories that can be done, because you're supposed to do a loyalty story or a startup story for them, and if you complete it and they don't die or whatever, they join your party. And I think that's how this is going to work. I think there's going to be like probably 30% of the NPCs, or everything's still going to be scripted in its own sense. But the way they make it seem is that it's going to be everybody, and it's hard to say whether or not it is or isn't right now. However, they said you could create a party of anybody, so everybody's like, we're going to get a group of old grandmas together, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Otherwise, Watch Dogs Legion is looking really good. You can surrender, apparently, if you're in the middle of a gunfight. There's permadeath, which makes for an interesting story. The gameplay they did show of it felt like Watch Dogs, but more technological than before, even. But I guess London might have had more time to work on it, or maybe they were the first to be taking control of. But this does take place, too, in the same future as Assassin's Creed, apparently. So there is that strong possibility, too. Next up, they actually did a TV show. Or I should say the guy from There's Always Some, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or something. He's teamed up with Ubisoft and Amazon, I believe it was, for a show called Mystic Quest Raven's Banquet, which Seems like it's supposed to be a World of Warcraft ripoff, and that it's been so popular and so in demand that their first expansion is coming out. And so there's like a documentary crew following them, and it's supposed to be a comedy. I love watching movies, TV shows that are video game related, even though a lot of them aren't up to par for a lot of people. So I'm hoping this one at least is a good comedy. Kind of like The Guild. I know a lot of people enjoyed that, so maybe there's that. Okay, so yeah, Brawlhalla came out a few years ago, and like I said, I'm running thin on things to talk. I just didn't want to talk about one thing. So Brawlhalla revealed a trailer that Adventure Time is coming to it. So we're supposed to get Jake and Finn and Princess Bubblegum and the Treehouse as an arena. Which, since it's Super Smash Brothers type game, that's cool that we get to play with the characters and there's supposed to be team co-op or something. Now, I'm not a big fan of Adventure Time, the show, personally, but I played a lot of the video games. And I really like the video games, so, for both people that aren't into it and people who are, Brawlhalla is definitely bringing in people from different franchises. Because I know they got wrestlers. They had a trailer for the new Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which looks like any other Recon, just better graphics, different story. The only important thing is John Berthel or Berthenol, or the guy who plays the Punisher and the guy who played on The Walking Dead is the cop buddy who kind of became a villain. He's apparently in it. He came out on stage, so definitely the year for famous people to come out and be like, "Hey, I'm in this game." He also brought a cute doggo. At least that's what somebody said. So I'm going with it. The doggy was pretty cute and pretty well trained. I don't know if it was his, but if it is, that was cool that he brought the dog out on stage too. If not, hey, it's an animal. Good breaking point. Okay, so they're doing a mobile game, and I'm not really interested in this at all. But what I found interesting about it is called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. It looks like Ubisoft is starting their own gaming universe, Avengers. So it looks like there's people from Rainbow Six, from crap, I don't even remember what the other games were. But there was a few other games, and one of them was Splinter Cell bringing Sam Fisher into it, which a lot of people were disappointed. They were waiting for a new Splinter Cell to come out, but unfortunately, well, this is what they got. It looks war tactical, I guess, so some people will enjoy it. Okay, so the Division 2 people came out, sprawled their plans across for year 1 and all its DLC. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the Division. I still got to play the first one, maybe the second one, who knows. I don't know if the stories mix. But they did mention that they are in works with Netflix for a Division movie or TV show. Now, again, like I just stated before, I really enjoy watching movies and TV shows that are based on video games. Video games are my life. If they do get this deal to go through and it does come out and I do enjoy the series, it might bring me into the games. I might want to play it just for that fact. And not just that, but people who haven't played the Division before may also want to jump in and play the games if the show is really, really good. And like every other streaming service this year, Ubisoft is announcing their own called Uplay Plus. So basically, it's their Ubisoft games. I think some of them you can play on release date, but you pay a fee, and guess what? You can play their games. Which I don't mind this, that they're doing streaming services for so many bucks a month. The problem that I'm having is it's like Netflix. Netflix used to have all these great shows. And then companies, networks like CBS and Hulu and Disney thought, well, they're doing so good with it, we're going to do it. And now there's barely any Disney shows on Netflix. CBS doesn't post all their shows on there. So, as much as I like this service, and it's a good thing to help, if you're a fan of Ubisoft and you like Ubisoft, this is a good way to support them. But does this mean that they're going to take away games from the Game Passes, from the PlayStation networks? I don't like having to pay a lot of money for different services. I mean, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich. And I think a lot of people who might be poor-ish might be like, well, I want to play all these cool Assassin's Creed games, but you won't put any on the Game Pass because Ubisoft has them. So what I do is I want to play Ubisoft, but now there's all these good games coming out on the Game Pass or on EA. I don't know. I just feel like we need to come together and figure out a good plan on this, guys. Otherwise, the last trailer that they showed for the conference was Gods and Monsters. It's from the people who did Assassin's Creed, apparently. They didn't show much. It was a video, so I can't really talk about it much. So if this hasn't come out by next E3 and they show gameplay footage and I still like it, I'll talk about it again. This is a maybe. The trailer felt like Kid Icarus with some anime-mated cartoon. And that was the press conference. Like I said, I was supposed to talk about games again just this episode, but kind of problematic when really there was only one game worth, and I just was like, oh, I gotta rewatch this press conference and decide other things I want to talk about. But so that is the Ubisoft press conference. So the best game, once I get back into it. So the best game had to be Watch Dogs Legion because, like I said, it was the only thing that interested me. The thing I thought was the worst out of everything that was shown that I talked about, I'm going to say the Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. Just because I'm not a big fan of mobile games, especially if they're pay to win or you got to pay or grind too much to play when it's supposed to be casual gamers. As for the press conference, even though there's really only one thing I liked, Ubisoft has impressed me in the past. They do care about their people. They talked about it. I'm going to give Ubisoft a solid 5.5. It was a good conference, just not much hit home. There wasn't really much new releases, and I think, again, some of that's due with next year when the new consoles get talked about. I'm betting all their big games are going to be on the next-gen system. So, we'll go ahead and leave it here for this episode. When we come back, it'll be episode 80, which you know what that means. It means we will be doing another episode of Adama's Review Corner. I don't quite remember what one we're doing next, but we'll be doing that. So, come back next time. And remember, keep gaming. Never give up. And if you gotta play, apparently choose Uplay.